What if I told you that everything we thought we knew about Stonehenge was wrong?
Stonehenge has been a source of mystery for thousands of years. But this week, the prehistoric monument may have given up one of its long-kept secrets.
For 5,000 years, this monument has stood in silence. Massive stones arranged in a perfect circle. We called it a temple. We called it an observatory. We called it a burial ground. We were wrong about all of it. An advanced artificial intelligence system has just finished analyzing 5 millennia of data: geological surveys, archaeological records, astronomical models, thousands upon thousands of data points that no human mind could ever process in a single lifetime. And what it discovered is shaking the entire archaeological world to its core. Because Stonehenge isn't what we thought it was. It's not a temple, it's not an observatory, it's a machine. And when you understand what this machine was built to do, you'll never look at ancient history the same way again. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will make you question everything you thought you knew about our ancestors. And I promise you, the truth is far more terrifying than you could possibly imagine.
A new analysis shows that the 6-ton iconic altar stone at the heart of Stonehenge, the discovery shows that its construction was a far greater collaborative effort than scientists believe.
The impossible origins. Let's start with a question that's haunted researchers for generations. How? How did a civilization without wheels, without metal tools, without modern machinery, move stones weighing up to 25 tons across hundreds of miles of brutal terrain? For decades, scholars argued. Some said glaciers did the work. Others insisted it was human determination. Both sides presented evidence. Both sides were confident. Then the AI settled the debate in a way no one expected. The system didn't speculate. It didn't theorize. It processed thousands of archaeological reports, geological surveys, excavation journals, transportation studies, and environmental datasets. It identified patterns hidden across an ocean of information that would take a human researcher multiple lifetimes to absorb. Here's what it found. The smaller blue stones, each weighing several tons, came from whales. We already knew that. But here's where it gets strange. The AI's geochemical correlation system detected something earlier researchers missed completely. The altar stone, the 6-ton centerpiece of the entire monument. Its mineral signature didn't match any quarry in Wales. When the AI compared its elemental fingerprint against sandstone formations across the entire British landscape, it found a match. One match in the far northeastern region of Scotland, within the ancient Orcadian Basin. Let that sink in for a moment. This stone traveled over 750 kilometers, that's 465 miles, across mountains, rivers, hostile terrain, 5,000 years ago. But here's the truly disturbing part. When the AI ran deeper pattern recognition models, trained on environmental physics data, magnetic field measurements, and acoustic studies, it detected something no one was looking for: functional similarities. The stones weren't chosen randomly. They weren't picked because they looked impressive or held symbolic meaning. Each stone from each different region held distinct magnetic, acoustic, and mineral properties, and when the AI simulated them together, the interactions were too specific, too coordinated, too deliberate to be coincidence. According to the AI's model, These stones behaved like carefully selected components in a designed system. The Neolithic builders didn't just understand engineering, they understood the physical behavior of certain stones in relation to the Earth itself. They understood frequencies, resonance, magnetic properties. Think about that. We're talking about a civilization we label as primitive. Yet they possess knowledge of material science that we're only now beginning to understand with our most advanced technology. So, ask yourself this question and really think about it. What else did they know? Because if they understood the electromagnetic and acoustic properties of different types of stone, what were they trying to build? The AI's answer? A circuit board. A giant circuit board constructed from multi-ton stones aligned to mysterious points in the cosmos. But it gets worse. So much worse. The weapon of mass influence. For years, visitors to Stonehenge have reported something strange. Something that most people dismissed as imagination or tourist superstition. They felt something, an unusual energy, a low hum vibrating through their bodies. Some described it as peaceful. Others felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Most researchers ignored these reports. It's just the power of suggestion, they said. People expect to feel something mystical, so they do. The AI says it's real, and it was engineered. Let me explain something about sound that most people don't know. There's a frequency range called infrasound. It sits below the level of conscious hearing, typically under 20 Hertz. You don't hear it, but your body feels it, and it affects you. Studies have shown that infrasound can induce anxiety, fear, sorrow, and even hallucinations. It can make you feel like you're being watched. It can trigger a primal fear response that bypasses conscious thought entirely. Here's where Stonehenge becomes terrifying. In 2020, acoustical engineer Trevor Cox and his team at the University of Salford built a precise 1/12 scale model of Stonehenge using 3D printed stones. They placed it inside a specially constructed acoustic chamber and ran tests. What they discovered changed everything. The interior of Stonehenge created a completely unique sonic environment. It produced a reverberation of a little more than half a second, enriching voices and magnifying the impact of music. But here's the key detail. This effect disappeared immediately outside. The circle. The monument generated a contained acoustic world, a controlled environment that ancient visitors would never have encountered anywhere else in their daily lives. But that's just what people could hear. Researcher Rupert Till, an acoustics expert and musicologist, studied the Welsh bluestones themselves. Some of these stones ring with metallic tones when struck. The region they come from is literally called Mainseti, which means ringing stones. His modeling showed that the arrangement of stones produced low-frequency resonance, infrasound, that deep inner vibration that sits beneath conscious hearing. Now, here's where we need to pause and really consider the implications. The AI didn't analyze this data and conclude Stonehenge was a concert hall. It identified a pattern of deliberate acoustic engineering designed to influence human perception and emotional state. Consider this scenario. You're a member of a Neolithic community. You've never experienced acoustics like this before. Your daily life consists of open landscapes where sound disappears quickly, or forests where it's absorbed. Then you enter Stonehenge. Suddenly, voices become powerful. They surround you. Music creates vibrations you can feel in your chest. And beneath it all, below the range of your hearing, there's a frequency that makes your heart race, that triggers primal fear, that makes you feel small and powerless. Now, imagine you're the leader of this society. You understand these effects. You engineered them. You have thousands of people gathered inside this stone circle. You're wearing ceremonial robes. You begin to speak, and your voice is amplified, enriched, made powerful by the acoustic properties you designed. You're accompanied by drummers striking those ringing bluestones, creating rhythmic pulses that resonate through every body in the circle. And beneath it all, that infrasound is working on their nervous systems, creating awe, inducing submission, making them believe they're in the presence of something divine. You're not just leading a ceremony, you're controlling their emotional state, their perception of reality, their willingness to obey. The researchers reached a chilling possibility. Under the right conditions, Stonehenge could have been used to control large gatherings, to heighten fear, to induce submission, to create an overwhelming sense of divine presence during rituals. The builders weren't just architects. They were masters of acoustic science and human psychology. They essentially built a weapon of mass influence, capable of manipulating the emotional state of thousands simultaneously. And here's what should really disturb you. The energy people feel today, that could just be a faint echo, a residual whisper of the monument's true terrifying power, because Stonehenge hasn't been used the way it was, designed to be used for 5,000 years. The Stonehenge Code. Now, you might be thinking, this is fascinating, but you're reading too much into it. Maybe they just built an impressive monument. Let me show you why that explanation doesn't work anymore. In the late summer of 2024, a team led by Anthony Clark at Curtin University published a study in Nature that quietly dismantled one of the longest-standing assumptions about Stonehenge. They focused on something seemingly small, tiny mineral grains locked inside fragments of the altar stone. Using high-precision mass spectrometry at the John de Laeter Center, they discovered that the minerals within the altar stone were astonishingly ancient. Some dated between 1 and 2 billion years old. Others sat at around 450 million years. That strange age combination formed a chemical signature that matched only one geological region on Earth, the old red sandstone of Scotland's Orcadian Basin. Dr. Robert Eichser of University College London described the result as genuinely shocking. Professor Chris Kirkland explained why. Moving a 6-ton block across the entire length of Britain would have been nearly impossible by land alone. That means Neolithic engineers almost certainly used marine shipping. They guided this stone along hundreds of kilometers of rugged coastline using boats, tide knowledge, and navigation skills far more advanced than previously believed. Think about what this means. This wasn't a local project. This was a coordinated effort spanning the entire island of Britain. Bluestones from Wales, sarsen stones from Marlborough, sandstone from Scotland, materials chosen from different regions, each offering unique physical or cultural properties. But here's the question we need to ask. Why go to such extraordinary lengths? If you just wanted to build an impressive monument, you'd use local stone. The effort required to transport these specific stones from specific locations suggests they were necessary. They were required components. Components of what? The AI, combining all this data, pointed to something researchers had never fully considered. Stonehenge was part of a much larger superstructure, not physically larger, but conceptually larger. A network, a system connecting multiple regions across ancient Britain. Researcher Richard Bevins summarized it perfectly. We have identified the chemical fingerprints of one of the most famous stones on the planet. Those fingerprints pointed to a society with complex trade routes, sophisticated organization, and most importantly, centralized authority. Because here's something the AI made very clear. A project of this scale, requiring this level of precision over multiple generations, doesn't happen through loose cooperation between independent tribes. The mathematics pointed toward a strongly centralized authority, someone capable of commanding, organizing, and sustaining massive labor forces over generations. Let's think about what that means. We're not talking about a democratic society where everyone agreed to chip in. We're talking about a hierarchical system where a small elite possessed knowledge that others didn't. They understood astronomy, geology, acoustics, human psychology, and they used that knowledge to build something that served their purposes. Now, here's where I want you to follow the logic carefully. If these stones were transported from distant regions under centralized command, were they symbols of unity, or were they signs of control? Were they gifts, or were they tribute? Were they voluntarily contributed, or were they extracted by force? The AI didn't make moral judgments. It simply showed the scale of coordination required. But when you look at the human cost, the interpretation becomes harder to avoid. The AI estimated that completing Stonehenge required the labor of thousands of people across several generations. Massive human effort, massive human sacrifice, all directed toward a single unified purpose. There were no signs of battlefields, no fortresses, no evidence of open warfare, just perfect, silent organization. The AI exposed the structure. The research teams supplied the meaning. Together, they revealed the outline of a society that possessed extraordinary knowledge and extraordinary power. A society ruled by an elite who understood things we're only now rediscovering. But here's the question that should haunt you. Why did they build it? The celestial trigger. This is where the analysis shifted from impressive to genuinely unsettling. The AI cross-referenced the exact placement of the stones with reconstructed star maps from roughly 5,000 years ago. Everyone already knew Stonehenge aligned with the solstices. That's been documented for decades. The sun rises perfectly through the entrance on the summer solstice. It's one of the monument's most famous features. But the AI detected another alignment, one that was far more subtle. It didn't follow the path of the sun. It didn't follow the moon. It pointed directly toward a single, mathematically empty region of the sky. When the system compared this alignment to ancient celestial configurations, it calculated a very high probability that the positioning was intentional. Now, pause for a moment. Let that sink in. Stonehenge is pointing at nothing, or at least nothing we can see. The AI could only present the geometry, the placement, and the probability. It couldn't suggest a purpose. That question belonged to the research team. And when they examined the pattern maps produced by the AI, the implications became heavier. The layout no longer resembled a ceremonial circle. It resembled a structure designed with a specific function in mind: a transmitter, a receiver, A beacon? The AI then produced a second model, this time focused on acoustics combined with celestial alignment. It showed that the stones formed a naturally resonant chamber, capable of amplifying deep, low-frequency sound, and that this acoustic effect would be maximized at specific times of the year when the celestial alignment was most precise. The AI simply reported the physical behavior, but to the researchers, the implications were clear. Stonehenge might have been designed to activate, to generate its maximum acoustic and electromagnetic effect during specific cosmic events. This pushed the team toward a more fundamental question: who could have designed something so complex? And why would they have attempted it at all? For generations, the popular belief was that Stonehenge represented unity. People imagined separate groups from across ancient Britain coming together to build a shared monument. It was a hopeful interpretation, but once the AI absorbed the full archaeological record and ran simulations of social organization, a different picture emerged. The system indicated that a structure requiring this precision, this amount of labor, and this duration of construction was statistically unlikely to come from scattered tribes working cooperatively. The mathematics pointed toward a strongly centralized authority capable of commanding, organizing, and sustaining massive labor forces over multiple generations. If such a hierarchy existed, then those stones transported from distant regions weren't symbols of unity. They were signs of control. What the team saw was a society in which a small, knowledgeable elite directed the labor of thousands, relying on an understanding of astronomy, geology, sound, and human psychology. But here's what really disturbs me about this analysis. The AI never stated that fear maintained this system. It never indicated that Stonehenge was a weapon. These were human inferences drawn from the stark mathematical realities of the project. What remained indisputable was the human cost. Thousands of people, multiple generations, all working toward a purpose they may not have fully understood. And somewhere within that union of stone, sound, and sky lay a purpose that no algorithm could fully explain. What event were they preparing for? And far more ominously, what presence did they hope would arrive? The lunar standstill. Now, here's where things get truly extraordinary. Because in January 2025, something happened that only occurs once every 18.6 years, a major lunar standstill, and it provided the first real-world opportunity in nearly 2 decades to test whether Stonehenge was designed to track lunar events. From April 2024 through mid-2025, researchers from Oxford, Leicester, and Bournemouth universities, along with English, Heritage, and the Royal Astronomical Society, conducted unprecedented observations at Stonehenge. Dr. Fabio Silva, senior lecturer in archaeological modeling at Bournemouth University, explained, "The moon was expected to align with the station stone rectangle twice a month from about February 2024 to November 2025. Now, let me explain what the station stones are because this is crucial. There are 4 megaliths forming a rectangle around the main stone circle, and they appear to align precisely with the moon's most extreme positions during the standstill. Professor Clive Ruggles of the University of Leicester stated, "The 4 station stones align with the moon's extreme positions, and researchers have debated for years whether this was deliberate, and if so, how this was achieved, and what might have been its purpose." Here's what makes this genuinely unsettling. During a major lunar standstill, the moon rises and sets in positions on the horizon that the sun never reaches. Think about that for a moment. For farming communities tracking solar cycles for planting and harvesting, seeing the moon extend beyond the sun's limits would have been profoundly significant. Perhaps it suggested a time when the lunar deity was stronger than the solar one. Happening only every 19 years or so, the major lunar standstill would have been a generational event, something spoken about in stories passed orally from one generation to the next. The phenomenon may have marked massive celebrations of religious, spiritual, and significance. But there's something darker here, something the AI flagged that researchers are still trying to understand. The 56 Aubrey holes, pits in the earthen bank where cremated remains were found, correspond with the southern extremity of moonrise as it occurs during the standstill. Even more disturbing, many cremations are concentrated in the southeastern part of Stonehenge, near 3 pits that likely once held timber posts and which appear to align with the southernmost moonrise of a major lunar standstill. When the famous large stones were initially placed around 2500 BCE, ancient builders positioned the 4 station stones in this exact spot. Was this astronomical precision, religious devotion, or were they marking something else entirely? A recurring cosmic event that required preparation. Dr. Amanda Chadbourne from Oxford's Kellogg College observed, "We want to understand something of what it was like to experience these extreme moonrises and sets and to witness their visual effects on the stones. For example, patterns of light and shadow." Heather Sabir, English Heritage's senior curator for Stonehenge, noted that some of the blue stones caught the moonlight beautifully, which might have influenced their selection for the monument. Here's where everything comes together in a way that's genuinely frightening. The AI's hypothesis suddenly becomes less theoretical. If Stonehenge was designed to track a recurring cosmic cycle, and if it generates powerful infrasound when acoustically activated, then the 2024-2025 lunar standstill might represent the first time in living memory that all the monument's functions could theoretically activate simultaneously. The celestial alignment, the acoustic resonance, the electromagnetic properties of the stones, all working together, all synchronized, all focused on that one mysterious point in the sky. What happens when all those components activate at once? The ancient builders knew. They designed it that way. But we're about to find out. The Unification theory. In December 2024, archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson from UCL published a groundbreaking study that offered a different interpretation. According to his research, Stonehenge's builders weren't just mystics or astronomers. They were political architects. Many of the stones came from widely separated regions across Britain, Scotland, Wales, the South. And this geographical reach was no accident. Parker Pearson argues the monument was crafted as a monument of unity, binding distant communities at a time of social flux. He suggests this unification project coincided with rising contact from Europe, from places like modern-day Germany and the Netherlands, a period when cultural and genetic change was sweeping the British Isles. In this light, Stonehenge may have served not only as a religious or astronomical center, but also as a symbol of shared ancestry, uniting the island's people through stone. In Parker Pearson's view, this wasn't merely building for worship. It was building for alliance, for identity. And if his theory is right, Stonehenge's purpose was as bold and deliberate as its architecture, political, social, and internal. Now, here's what I want you to consider. Both interpretations could be true. The AI's analysis suggests a machine designed to generate specific acoustic and electromagnetic effects during celestial events, a tool of control and influence. Parker Pearson's research suggests a monument of political unity, binding distant communities through shared construction. But these aren't contradictory, they're complementary. What if Stonehenge was both? A unifying project that simultaneously established centralized control. Think about it. You gather representatives from across the island. Each brings stones from their homeland. Together, you construct a monument that represents unity. But that monument is also designed with properties that allow its controllers to influence large gatherings, to induce awe, to create submission, to make the divine presence feel real. You've created unity, and you've created control. The people believe they're participating in something sacred and communal, and they are. But the elite who designed it understand its true function. This is what sophisticated social engineering looks like, and it happened 5,000 years ago. The final purpose. This is where everything converges, and honestly, it's hard to fully comprehend. We have an ancient machine built by a mysterious ruling class, designed to generate specific acoustic and electromagnetic effects, and pointed at an empty region of the sky. The final question the AI tackled was the big one. Why? What was the ultimate purpose of this colossal undertaking? The artificial intelligence analyzed every piece of data it was given. It identified the monument's precise celestial alignments, its acoustic properties, and the geological signatures of the stones. The AI calculated that Stonehenge's layout has a statistically significant alignment with a single point in the sky, and that the arrangement of stones produces focused, low-frequency sound. These were raw findings based on geometry, physics, acoustics, and geochemistry. The AI did not speculate on purpose or intent. The implications, however, were left to the research team. Observing the data, the team noted that the combination of celestial alignment, resonant acoustics, and specific material selection could be interpreted in multiple ways. One possibility: the builders intended to create a structure capable of amplifying or interacting with natural phenomena. Another possibility: the monument's design could have influenced human perception and behavior when gatherings occurred inside the stone circle. The AI also identified patterns suggesting that these effects might have been synchronized with recurring cosmic events. Beyond this, any suggestion of protection, amplification, rituals, or warnings was entirely the interpretation of the researchers based on their study of the AI's output. The AI simply provided the data. Humans drew the narrative. But here's what we can say with confidence. Stonehenge is not a primitive shrine, it's a sophisticated machine. Its acoustics are measurable, its celestial alignments are intentional. Its stones were sourced with purpose, as if each was a component in a larger system designed to activate. The recent major lunar standstill confirmed alignments researchers are still analyzing. But if Stonehenge really is a countdown tracking cosmic cycles, what happens when it reaches zero? What were they waiting for? Or worse, what were they trying to prevent? Here's what keeps me awake at night. For 5,000 years, Stonehenge has stood silent, waiting. The people who built it understood something we're only now beginning to grasp. They possessed knowledge that shouldn't have been possible for their time. They moved stones across impossible distances. They engineered acoustic, properties that modern scientists struggle to explain. They tracked celestial cycles with precision that rivals our own technology. And they did it all for a purpose we still don't fully understand. The AI has given us pieces of the puzzle: the celestial alignment, the acoustic resonance, the electromagnetic properties, the synchronized activation during specific cosmic events. But the complete picture, the true purpose, that remains hidden, encoded in stone, waiting for us to finally understand. The stones are sending a message that's been broadcasting for 5 millennia. The real question is, are we ready to hear it? Or perhaps more importantly, are we ready for what happens when we finally do? Because here's the terrifying truth. Stonehenge wasn't built to last 5,000 years by accident. It was built to survive, to remain functional, to wait. The ancient builders knew something. They prepared for something. And whatever it is, it's still coming. The countdown hasn't stopped. It's just been waiting for us to notice. And now that we're finally beginning to understand, the activation sequence may have already begun. Thank you for watching. If this investigation disturbed you as much as it disturbed me, subscribe to this channel. We have many more ancient mysteries waiting to be explored. Share this video. Because this isn't just about Stonehenge. This is about understanding that our ancestors were far more advanced than we ever imagined. And sometimes they knew things we've forgotten, things we desperately need to remember before it's too late. The stones are still there, still aligned, still waiting. The question is, what happens when the waiting ends?